And welcome to the next podcast, the Super Terb Podcast. First of all, let me go ahead and share this to my personal page, and we will get started. Are you ready? Let's go ahead and search. Look, we're live right there.
All right. Looks good.
All right. Okay. We got to hit here. And welcome to the Super Terb Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Terbet, your local real estate expert with the Ida Terbet Group, Coldwell Banker, HPW, a.k.a. Super Terb, a.k.a. Coach Terb. And we're back for another episode where we talk real estate, business, sports, and beer in the triangle. And today, my featured guest is not only my mom, my head coach, our team leader, our owner, Ida Terbet.
Hello.
I thought it would be great for mom to come on over everybody listening, Apple and Spotify land as well, and just have mom talk about her business, but also give us an opportunity to talk about 2022, everything that we saw as we're doing this podcast. It's January 25th. Talk about maybe the last 12 months, then also talk about the current state of the market, where we're projected to see 2023 as buyers, what they should be doing, as sellers, what they should be doing. So I'm going to take a quick break. And on the other side, we will have Ida Terbet and Super Terb talk about the market. And, of course, I have some rapid questions for you, Mom, that you let everybody know about. So we'll be right back with Ida Terbet. And welcome back to the Super Terb Podcast. Again, I'm your host, Michael Terbet, your local real estate expert with the Ida Terbet Group, Coldwell Banker, HPW. And I have Ida Terbet sitting right next to me. Say what's up, Mom.
Hello.
All right. So we were talking about this the other day. Mom's been on the podcast before where we talk market updates, things like that. And we've seen a lot in the last 12 months, or really the last couple of years. If anything, I was doing some math with some past clients and buyers that are in the market, sellers. We've seen in our market a 35% appreciation in Wake County since January of 2020.
Everything changed.
And then we were just motoring right along. We needed inventory. Supply was at all-time lows. And now we saw a lot change over the last 6 months. So in a nutshell, Mom, tell everybody what you thought of 2022, where we started, where we ended, and everything in between. And then, of course, we'll touch on what we're going through right now and where we see the market, this year.
Well, first of all, 2022, when it started off, was like 2021. Buyers were frustrated because we would get anywhere from 8 to 20 offers sometimes. And it kept buyers from being able to get their homes, especially if they were first-time buyers where they had very minimal money to put down because they were competing with such high due diligence. It has now changed, but everything started changing April of last year in 2022 when the interest rate went from 3% to 6% in 1 month. Then in May, it went up to 7%. And basically everyone just pulled back and said, what is going on? So the last 6 months, as I've been telling people, it's almost like you're getting back to normality. For 2 years, I called it Disney World. Sellers, if anything, expected to sell their homes for way over full price. Now we're educating them to say, like today, I just sold a home, sold at full price. Michael's, you put in offers just last weekend. There were multiple offers. We are now seeing the improvement. I mean, it's getting back to, we don't have inventory. We need inventory. But 2022, the first, I would say 5 months, it was pretty much like it was in regards to 2021. Then we saw the adjustment of people pulling back on the interest rates and also sellers going, I don't think I'm going to sell right now because everything's happening too quickly and the interest rates have gone up. I'm just going to stay where I am. And now we're seeing a totally different trend.
Yeah, no, I would just elaborate on that and the fact that, so I started selling in 2006, as far as an agent goes.
Like yesterday.
And then we went through the financial crisis and came out on the other end. And I remember rates got in the 4s, then got in the 3s. And for about 5-6 years, we were, really 2016, I remember when I bought my second home in 2010, my rate was 4.35.
Yeah, you thought that was great.
And we thought that was going to be the best thing and won't ever change. And then 2016, when we came out of the financial crisis, people got confidence again. Rates again were, in the 4s, got in the 3s. And we really hovered there for about 5-6 years. Every year we were told, hey, rates are going to go up by the end of the year.
But they
never
stay
happened.
Down.
And I think, going into 2022, just to backtrack a little bit, in January of 2020, pre-COVID, we didn't know COVID was on the doorstep, how it was going to affect us. That was the first time in my career that I saw our inventory under 2 months supply. And to put that in perspective for people that are watching, you want about a 5 to 6 month supply of homes to be a buyer-seller market, meaning there's enough supply to offset the demand. In January of 2009, in the height of the financial crisis, we had a 19-month supply of homes in the Triangle.
Yeah.
Inventory really affected us, not so much a bubble, but just growth and building, where we had over 20,000 active listings. Fast forward to 2020 was the first time in my career that I saw our supply under 2 months. And in a year's time frame, we got down to as low as 0.3 months supply of homes.
And you know why that happened is that when COVID hit, I'll never forget the night that we were told, it came on the news saying we could not leave the house and we couldn't show houses. I had 6 listings that I was ready to turn in the next day to put in the multiple listing. And I thought it'd be over in 2 weeks or a month at the most. I didn't even think that it would last like it did. But at the time, we were just starting to build up the inventory for the spring market, and everything stopped. So sellers were very concerned about having anyone come into their home, even when we became essential. What that means is after about 2.5 months, it came out that contractors and real estate agents were considered essential in Wake County, which means we could go out and start listing. Try to list a home when a person is scared to death that they're going to get COVID. So when I go to these listing appointments, if they would allow me, I wore surgical gloves, a mask, a little pump alcohol so I could wipe everything down with the pen and make sure that they felt safe. But then they didn't want people to come in. It was a very challenging time. So the inventory just kept going down.
The inventory is already going. And the other thing that people don't think about is with rates being so low, when people would normally sell that first home, they held on to it and rented it. So homes that should be going back onto the market stayed. And it touched on 2020. I remember that as well. It was like out of a movie. Middle of March. It took about 30 days for the market to figure out, like, okay, people got scared. Obviously there's a lot to be scared about, the unknown. If you were 350 and under, you didn't know there was a pandemic because of the lack of supply. Rates were so low. Great time to buy in regards to some of like free money. But I remember middle of April to the latter part of April, active listings went up by 26%, as well as homes under contract. And I remember Memorial Day weekend is really when the barn doors blew open. So there was more buying than selling because a lot of people that were wanting to sell is where are they going to go? That was the biggest thing.
Also when the airlines started flying again. Because people couldn't fly in here to buy houses, so they were buying the houses sight unseen.
So it was crazy. So fast forward to 2021, really amped up, and we could go on for another 30 minutes about 2021 and how due diligence in our market exploded. 2022, we were expecting a very mirror image of 2021, and it started out like that. And there was a couple factors that I believe, and you could touch on this, that really started to affect the market. In May, middle of May, the MLS came out and pretty much eliminated or put a stop to coming soons. Just so everyone that's listening, a coming soon is when we would do a coming soon, that was really what it was for. It was really for sellers who were probably putting new carpet in, they're painting, they're getting the house ready to show. And it's also a way to show their neighbors, hey, we got a home coming on the market. They may have somebody that wants to move into the neighborhood or piques their interest, and they can schedule a time to show when the home's ready to go live. Well, when you were a coming soon, homes did not accumulate on the market. So meaning you could have a coming soon up to 30 days. And when you looked at it on MLS, it would say active coming soon, 0 days on market. Well, as the market shifted to an extreme seller's market where this was a marketing tool. People were putting all their photos on. You have Google Earth. You just couldn't touch and feel. And due to this demand for property, especially people selling in other parts of the country with a lot of liquid, they were then coming and making these sight unseen offers. What was happening, though, is people were closing on homes. And once they got into the home, they felt like in some cases, we didn't experience this, but from what our broker in charge and just things in the area, people felt like sellers were being dishonest on disclosures.
When they were buying as is, and they just didn't realize the repairs that need to be done after they moved in.
That, or they felt like the sellers were keeping things a secret, which was furthest. Again, we didn't have any experience like that. So I think to have a level playing ground. So then you also, that took away supply because you had a portion of the market that was active coming soon that's not technically counted as active homes. Then you had the active homes. So you probably had a 60-40 ratio of homes that were coming soon versus active. So in May, the MLS of this past year said, okay, you can do coming soons, but the days accumulate.
Yeah.
Well, by doing that, it pretty much eliminated coming soon, because if you did a 7-day coming soon, for example, by the time you went live for showings, it would show 8 days on market. And 8 days in market's like dog years in real estate now, meaning it'd be like 40 days. The buyer wouldn't understand how it works and say, what's wrong? So what they did is, by allowing or pretty much eliminating the coming soon, there were more homes that hit the market. It gave buyers opportunities, and that helped with the supply that we see now. In the last year, our inventory has gone from 0.5 to 1.5. So our actual inventory
1.5 months is what we have right
in
now.
Wake County. And our inventory now is still less than where it was in January of 2020, but we've got options. Now we're, come June, May, June is when I think we started seeing the shift in the market.
Yep.
There was things in play. One, it was summertime, cyclically in a normal month.
And people went on vacations that they booked 2 years before, and they couldn't, and they finally could go on these vacations that they paid for, because it was almost like, is everybody going out of town?
Well, cyclically and normal. I tell clients cyclically anyway, July and August is slower months.
Yeah.
You wouldn't think so, but there's a lot of things in play. You have family vacations, which was even more heightened or highlighted because of the last couple of years. Go. 2 year-round schools in our market starts back in July after the 4th of July. Mm-hmm. You've got traditional schools on vacation, but then August schools start back, and then on top of it, it's 4 million degrees.
Yeah.
Then normally come September, you would have one more run on the market till early November, because people want to find and get into something by Turkey Day. Holidays cyclically slows down. Then we start back over the following year. Come February, kicks off the spring market. What we saw in 2022 was a perfect storm in the fact that the short-term interest rates got bumped because we tried to slow inflation, which in turn, the 30-year mortgage was affected and going up to slow spending. So if you were a buyer and you were at one point pre-approved for 3.5%, and now you're looking at a 6.5%, 7%, especially a first-time buyer, when you're more concentrated on that month-to-month payment, you're talking a difference in some cases of $1,000, $1,500 a month. So everybody hit the brakes. But in saying that, a lot of the buyers that were affected or went back onto the sideline were ones that were renting, or they couldn't compete in the old market, meaning they didn't have the liquid. So a lot of people, they just started the winter a couple months earlier, and now come 23, we're seeing pent up demand.
And
buyers,
like in the last week and a half, 2 weeks, it's buyers are out there because interest rates are now in the mid 5s, and compared to 7.5% in November and December, it was 7.5 or maybe just.
Well, I don't know where the current rate is, but it's as low as 6.
Today.
Yeah, I mean, but Fannie Mae has predicted that by the second and third quarter we should be in the 5s. I think people are ready. But you touch on that, Mom, in the fact that buyers that have nothing to sell, whether they've moved here and they've been in an Airbnb, they've been renting, their leases are going to be coming up anywhere from April to June. Normal leases turn over every spring, summer. So now is when they've been engaging to get back in the market. I don't even talk about the rate's the rate. The market is the market.
And homes are appreciating and doing so well. But buyers now, what we're seeing is, okay, let's go ahead and buy a home. And they understand that they're not going to have to compete with 5, 6, 7, 10 offers, that they're actually going to be able to negotiate. But I will say this:
in some cases,
we're selling them over full price.
I just did a video today.
Yeah,
that the number one reason in any market why homes don't sell is price.
Yeah,
and the problem that we're facing, and you hear one is the media.
Don't listen to the media.
We appreciate the media. Don't get me wrong, but bad news sells. So over the last few months, yes, since May or June of this past year, 2022 to now, we've probably seen our average sales price go down 5% from $568 to $538 in Wake County. But when looking at it from January of 2020, pre-pandemic, our appreciation is up 35%. So when you hear 3-4 months of consecutive appreciation, you don't hear about the 24, 25 months of consistent appreciation. So as a seller, for example, we just listed a home. I helped them buy it 4 years ago for $330,000, and we're under contract now for over $515,000.
Right.
When I did the math, it's really about a 35% appreciation or return on your investment. And that's the purchase price. Not if you factor in the down payment, which they put, you have equity moving forward, you're even sitting on more of a ROI. But in saying this, we still have to price homes correctly. What happens is, and luckily we're getting further
and
away.
prepare them. Because there was a time you just sold it without even seeing it. Now you've got to have
it's got to be priced right, and you have to have it show ready. Those are the top two reasons homes don't sell. It's either updating or pricing or combined of both. But as we get further away from the summer months, the comps are becoming more real because of the shift in the market that we've seen. But you still have sellers seeing what their neighbors sold for 8, 10, 12 months ago.
And they think it's 3 months ago.
They do. And so what they fail to realize is that those prices, which are fantastic, the homes were still listed at the market value, and because of the demand, the market set the price.
Correct.
So as I'm just using an example from my listing, when we went in there, I told him, I said, we could probably do 5099, 514.9, but 499.9 is the number because a couple reasons. One, we're going to bracket correctly, and buyers now, because rates are a little higher, they're looking at $25,000 increments. So the key is pricing it correctly, getting the most eyeballs on your home, the most foot traffic, and then because of that, we were able to come to them with 3 offers. Just like calling my sister who's on the team. She's working with a buyer now. They're in a multiple offer situation. Jordan, my assistant, phenomenal buyer specialist. We've had countless multiple offer situations because it's location and price point. If homes are priced well, where we're seeing opportunities though are either agents, and no fault by their own. Everyone's human, but that's why I say who you work with matters. If you've only been doing this for a few years, you don't know any different. You've been used to going 200 miles an hour on the super speedway, and now we're in the pit and we can't go more than 55 miles an hour. And they want a listing, so they're like, yes, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I'll do this. And they're having anywhere from 25, 50, 75 over where it should be. And then that's where it takes time for the reductions to come in. But that's opportunity for the buyer to hopefully get it at the price that's good for them.
Well, again, everything has changed. Prior to April and May, we used to say to the seller, go to the beach, go out of town for 2 days. We'll look at all offers on Monday morning or Sunday night. Now we're having normal showings. We're having good activity. And I tell everyone the same thing. We're back to normality of what it was in 2019, where you put it on the market. And also the average days in the market. Now, when you say 3 weekends, that's nothing. We get spoiled, but then the houses that we're selling, we are selling the same weekend. So I think for sellers, this is the time to put your home on the market because there's so little inventory. And as buyers, this is the time to do it because you are able to get the house that you want versus feeling like, okay, this is now the 7th house we tried to get. And you're just feeling this overwhelmed, what I call buyer fatigue. You're not going through that now. Also, what I noticed with the new listing I had over the weekend, the buyers would want to think about it overnight. They didn't do that 6 months ago because they knew if they thought about it overnight, they weren't going to get it. They had to jump in with everybody else. But I'm excited about.
I got a comment here from a great agent on our team, Christine Winkler. She says, talk about new construction. She's under contract, but it was multiple offers too. Inventory is still low. So what you're seeing, guys, as Christine brings up a great point, over the last couple of years, builders, new construction, there was a couple things. It was very difficult to do a pre-sale because builders didn't want to start the process because of supply and cost. So they didn't want to go under contract for something where you normally would go into a sales office, a model, an on-site center, and pick the lot, pick the elevation, pick your structural options, pick your cosmetic options, countertops, things of that nature. They went away from that because a home that you may have gone under contract, just for example, 400, by the time it would close, it would probably be worth almost close to 480, 500.
I was going to say that.
So what a lot of builders were doing, or all builders were doing, is they were waiting for the homes to be spec'd out, finished, and pretty much 6 to 8 weeks out, then they would open it up to the wild. And we were seeing multiple offers even with new construction.
Also, they didn't know what the lumber was going to cost, the sheetrock, and they
Of course,
wanted to wait.
so they wanted to make sure. Well, with the shift in the market, now builders have spec homes available, and they're just like resale homes, but brand new. Just so pretend that they're like cars sitting out in the parking lot and they're ready for you to come pick it up. There's great opportunity now for buyers because builders are pushed by quarterly deadlines, and they want to, get homes off the market or close so they can start either a new phase or a new project.
Mhm.
So Christine's point is with new construction, builders are offering incentives, buy downs, great credit. I mean, we have one client, Mom, under contract with a production builder. They're giving $20,000 in credit using their lender.
And you wouldn't have seen that a year
No.
ago. You would have never seen that.
But because of that, and they're on MLS, you're going to have multiple offers at times where things that you can do as a buyer, in that case, is understanding that, there's not going to be an appraisal contingency. There's not going to be, it's a great avenue to go, but you still want to go in realistic, go get the home. Can only use another example. Helped a client of ours. We closed last month, a few weeks ago. It's down in Fuquay. Home was $625,000. It was a spec. They had it staged.
Yeah.
Hadn't moved it. We got it for full price, but we had the builder pay $13,000 in credit so our clients could do a 2-1 buy down. This was unheard of 6 months ago. So
what he's saying is that you're going back to being able to try to negotiate and be able to have it where I call it a win-win. The seller's happy, the buyer's happy, and it's not one-sided where you both are working together.
I think what you said right there, Mom, is a great point. The other thing that we may hear, and everything is so market dependent, when you hear stuff on the news or you hear the market conditions or you're reading articles, for example, I just had an article come out, or not me, but it was on local here, that foreclosures were up 150%. Well, I tell my clients we went from 2 to 5.
Yeah.
Nothing foreclosed over 2 years. But if you read that and weren't as knowledgeable or didn't have someone to go to, what does that strike? It strikes fear. So people now think if they don't, it's so important to work with a professional and understand the market, they think they can come in and get a home for 10, 20% under asking.
Right.
The stats read where it used to be, and I say used to be several years ago, instead of paying 105% sales price, list price to sales price, list price, we're at about now a little over 98% of asking if the home's priced correctly in a one offer situation. So,
but if you get 2 or 3, you're going to be paying full price or more.
Exactly. Well, when you go to a seller, though, is what I'm getting at is that when we do our net sheets, because we want to create the right expectations, we're going to be doing it probably 98% of asking. If we get anything better than that, that's great. Okay. As a buyer, though, it's so important for when you go in, because I also touched on this a few weeks ago, offers breed offers. Because right now what you have is you have buyers circling a property, especially if it's been sitting. And what are they waiting for? Let me know if you get an offer. So instead of going in on that initial offer aggressively to get it sold and get that home you love, if you go in low, that agent's just going to use your offer to leverage other offers. And now you're in a multiple offer situation where you could have gotten it right off the bat.
Exactly.
So Christine, great question. So 2023, it's January 25th. What do you see over the next half of the year?
Like I said just a little while ago, I've seen in the last week and a half to 2 weeks, the momentum is really picking up. And it makes me excited because the last quarter was very challenging for us as agents as well as sellers, and not knowing what's going to happen. I think when the interest rates got under 6%, plus people understand that the homes are appreciating. So if they're appreciating and you pay a little bit more interest rate, it all balances out because your home is still going up. If you rent, and I want you to listen to what I'm saying, renting is fine for a certain amount of time, but the only way you can achieve any type of wealth in your life is to buy a home, because it will continually go up. Yes, there may be a short period, few years where it doesn't go up, but it always goes up and you're paying down on something and you have ownership. So I think buyers are seeing that, and they know that, you know what, we might as well go on and if we have a chance to buy something now, where last year and the year before they couldn't, they were so frustrated. You'd go in with an FHA loan, they didn't have a chance. VA loan, well, now we're doing VA loans and FHAs. And FHA is when you put 3.5% down. VA, you can do 100%. Well, when you have many, many offers, as an agent telling the seller, you say, well, this one's putting 50% down. Of course, the one with 50% down is going to get the house. So it's just a great time to buy. And also, I can't stress to you, don't wait for spring, because I really feel the momentum is really snapping now. It's getting busier. I'm loving it.
I think this year is going to be interesting. I think every area is different.
Yeah.
But I also think the Triangle, Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill, Wake County, RTP, which is Research Triangle Park, we live in a phenomenal area if you're listening out in different parts of the country, where the National Association of Realtors ranked us number 2 out of the top 10 that's going to outperform the 2023 market. There's other markets in the country where people may be moving away from, or it's softening. We're not seeing that here, and there's a couple reasons. One, our price point overall is still very low. I think that also caused the rapid appreciation is because where people were coming from, they couldn't believe what they could buy for their money they were getting elsewhere. I also think that when talking about, the taxes are still very low and compared to I've so many clients coming from up north and they laugh at the property taxes. You have the beach 2.5 hours away. You have the mountains 3 hours away. So you have the best of everything. Weather overall is good, except I tell people in July and August, just don't take a shower. It gets hot. It's very humid. Yeah, we do. We just got that, I think, but we're good here in the South. So in saying all of that, I think it's going to be an interesting year. I think as a seller, I think you're waiting and seeing, which is understandable. The sellers that we're helping right now have to sell. I think they're selling for multiple reasons, but you're not just putting the toe in the water. I think, though, when rates do stabilize and they feel confident where the rates aren't going to fluctuate drastically, they're going to understand, hey, let's maximize the equity we've gained over the last 2 to 4 years and have that go into our next property, whether that's downsizing, getting a larger home, and then you just adjust with the monthly payment from there. I think that's what we're going to see. And then as a buyer, as Mom mentioned, rent isn't coming down. And I think that's where, if we can help you get into a home that and help you and educate you the best we can with all the financing options that are available, that's the route it's going to take.
Something so important is that if you're renting and you take that same payment, you're going to get a home twice as big as what you're renting, because renting has gone up so much because of demand, where people wanted to buy and they said, let's just go ahead and rent for a year. Yeah. So I
think it's an exciting time we're going to see in the next year. This past year, we still had, because the stats just came out, we're 30 days in arrears. So I'm going to be doing my market update video because I'm excited to show all of last year. But December of 21 to December of 22, we still had almost a 13% appreciation.
Which is phenomenal.
2014 to 2020, we were on average of 6% a year. I think what people have to look at
Can I interject something? Mm-hmm. When I got into real estate, which this month is, believe it or not, is 36 years. Michael was just a little boy. The average appreciation, which I actually went to appraisal school because I came from California, where we were just so used to tremendous appreciation. The homes only went up 3 to 4% a year.
Yeah.
So when I'd go to do a listing, I would say, okay, you've been here 10 years, and I would have to multiply.
It's funny you say that, because the average appreciation in 06 was 3.5% a year. Wake County, North Raleigh and Cary was anywhere from 4 to 6. Yeah. I remember that because when I started. That. Yeah. But I think what people have to realize too is with anything, buying a home is like an investment. It's long term. What we've seen in the last couple of years is just unheard of in our area. So when people buy, I used to tell people you would need to be in a home 3 to 5 years to really see a return on your investment when you go to sell, when you're factoring in fees, revenue stamps, things of that nature. So as long as and I joke with Leslie, my wife, because she's always asking about the market. So from the beginning of time, we were living in caves. People are always going to have to buy a home. I understand why people went onto the sideline. I understand why people are watching and seeing. But I will tell you this, as Mom mentioned, there's no better time to get in the market. If there's anything we can do to help you, let us know. There's another question here by Matt. Are there areas that haven't seen a slowdown? Great question, Matt.
I can tell you that.
Go ahead.
Okay, number one, I can give the zip codes, but inside the Beltline,
No,
North Raleigh.
Well, tell people what inside the Beltline is.
Okay, that just means anywhere from the Beltline of, let's use an example, going on North Hills and going towards downtown. Anything within the Beltline.
I think
North Raleigh.
what she's touching on, people that don't know North Hills is basically our downtown area within about a couple mile radius.
That's not going down at all. 27614, 27615, these are zip codes. 27609 where we are. No slowdown, no depreciation.
And why is
only
that?
Value. Because of demand.
Well,
and
not only
carry,
that, dirt.
Yeah, right. You can't find dirt. And carry. Oh my God, that's why Fuquay and Holly Springs have become so popular, because if you wanted to buy newer, you had to go out more, or if you wanted to buy new. But overall, I mean, we're selling in Wendell, we're selling in Zebulon that 4 or 5 years ago, we would have said, oh no, that whole area is growing. But there's certain areas that there's such a demand, you just know you're going to sell them very
Well, it's like
quickly.
anything else, like exact. So Matt, what I would tell you is location. So if you've got a home closer to downtown, and for people that, I mean, it's local, like Mom mentioned, Raleigh, North Raleigh, Cary, Apex. People are going out.
Durham, Chapel Hill, all those areas.
It's just location. So, but because of the price increase, it's led people to go further out, and that's normal. So, every home is different, but again, it's always where the value, and then where it's going long term. As I mentioned, we're helping someone build down by North Hills. It's a phenomenal lot, 3/4 an acre. They're doing a tear down. Yeah. I mean, I'm like, you're sitting on gold, because 20 years from now, 50 years from now, it isn't moving. So I think that's the name of the game, is really understanding, creating wealth by home ownership. So,
well, and again, there's nothing better than having pride of ownership. So, but as sellers, because I work only with sellers. Michael works with sellers and buyers. So I see the sellers out there, and they will hear from the media or different people saying, well, I understand my house has gone down since last year. I went, no. Then I tell them the home's gone up just last year, 11%.
Well, you look at the stock market. Yeah. It's up and down. So the last 6 months, we're down 5%, but you're up 40% prior to that. So it's just what you hear. But I think this has been really helpful. I think it's been great. I think that, like I said, this next year, I think things may be a little slower to really get off the ground. But once it gets off the ground, it's going to be wide open, like Mom said. I think once people, because that comes back down to supply. Another thing that we hear is, oh my gosh, this is like 2008. For some people that lived through 2008 are fearful, but that is, it's apples and oranges. 108 was man-made. And
it was all bank related.
Not only that, in the country, we had probably over 4.5 million active listings to where now we have 1.5 million. Mm-hmm. We had so much inventory throughout the country to where we are now that everything comes back down to supply and demand. And if you're at all thinking about getting in the market, I feel like if this is the time, because it's funny, I'd have clients saying, well, we're going to wait for it to slow down. I don't want to wait for it to crash and, get back in the market. Well, one, we're not going to see that. But two, once it had slowed down, now we're going to wait for the rates to go back down. Then when the rates go back down, more people are going to come out. So it's interesting.
Well, the interest rates are just today, before I came, with 5.5%. You can also get a 15-year for 5%. If you want to buy it down a point, you can get 5.25%. Well, we didn't touch on 2-1 buy down. So, but again, you as a buyer, if you're wanting to get that interest rate down to, for instance, at 3.5-4%, you do a 2-1 buy down. The seller has to pay those points. So rather than come in, you just negotiate that in the price of the home. So you're able to negotiate the interest rate down. But I just remember years ago, Deborah Morgan interviewed me on WRAL saying, do you think the interest rates will ever get under 9%? That was in the 90s. And it was so busy then because everyone was so excited that they were under 10%. And now we're talking about 5.5%, 6%.
If people didn't live through it, they just see it's all. But anyway, what I want to do is, before we go, because I don't think you've done rapid questions with me.
Nope, I haven't.
So this should be fun.
You never know what I'm going to say.
So let's do some rapid questions and we'll call it a day. Favorite food?
Seafood, lobster and shrimp.
All right. Favorite music.
I love Elvis.
Elvis.
I love Elvis. I love Michael Bublé. I like anything to do with music that makes you feel good.
Yeah. Believe it or not, I'm obviously a huge Elvis guy.
I know you
Favorite
are.
cocktail.
Belvedere Martini, extra dry, shaken really, really.
I know that one by heart. The odds of it going back are pretty high.
No,
It's about a 95% chance it's going back.
It's got to be extra dry.
Yeah, extra dry.
Got to be Belvedere.
Yeah. Favorite sports team.
Well, can I be honest with you? Whoever's playing, if it's 49ers, I'm cheering for them for the going to the Super Bowl. I always do it for the Panthers because until a year and a half ago, we had season tickets, and I got tired of them always losing, to be honest with you.
They'll make you appreciate
I would
winning.
say the Panthers, the 49ers, but I also enjoy
and Duke.
Of course, Duke.
Unless you're a Carolina fan. We work with Carolina.
Well, see, and my son-in-law went to Carolina, and Michael always thought he and his dad only went Duke. As long as we go, the way I look at it, when you do March Madness and it goes to the Final Four, as long as it's Carolina teams, I'm happy.
You're happy. Yeah, that's where people don't quite understand the complexity of that. I remember Jacob asked me years back, so why can't we just cheer for both?
Yeah.
I said, it doesn't work that way. Plus, it's okay to cheer for state.
Yeah.
But
I just enjoy watching it, but
both teams, Duke's not having the best year. Yeah. So, two people you can. Actually, I'll save that one. Where's the best place you've ever visited?
Venice, and I love Italy, and Venice just captured me. I love Paris, but Venice.
Okay. Where's a place you haven't been but want to go? So you and Dad should book, by the way.
I'm not really sure. I think I really would love to go back to Italy again because there's so many.
No, you haven't been. Place you haven't been. A place you want to go. Try to get a place you want to
actually, not really, because we've gone to. There's, I don't have a place in particular.
No.
Nope.
That's it.
I'd like to go back to Hawaii. I've been to Hawaii a dozen times. Different countries. I have no desire to go to Australia. That's too far away. I do not want to go anything. I don't want to do. I don't want to go to China. I don't want to do any of those places. So I just want to go back to Italy.
Well, Italy's good. I'm gonna just say Europe.
Europe.
All right, we'll go back to Europe.
But there's so many places.
I actually want to go to New Zealand.
But there's so many places in the United States I haven't been. And also, guys, wait. Everybody's going to be going to Yellowstone this year because of the series. We were there just a few years back, and going to Montana, going to Colorado, going and seeing Yellowstone. I would love to go back there again. There's a lot of places I want to go back to.
What do you like to do when you're not selling houses?
I'm not selling houses. I love being at the beach, and I love socializing, and I don't have any real hobbies. I just love being with my sweet husband, Mob, and we just have a great time just being together. But we love going to the beach together and being with friends. But that's what I like to do.
Two people.
But I like selling all the time.
Yeah, I know you do. Two people you could have dinner with, dead or alive.
I'd love to have dinner with my mother again. She died in 1990, and it would just be great to share how proud I am of my kids and how I've just, evolved because when she died, I had only been in real estate a couple of years. She couldn't understand what I did, but I'd love to have dinner with her and just share. And then the second person, I don't want to talk politics, but it's a particular political person that I would like to have. So I'm trying to think of someone else.
Let's not go down that road. The Super Terb Podcast is non-rated, by the way. But
second person, I'm trying to think. Golly bum, you know who I would love? If he was alive, I would love to have dinner and spend the evening with Elvis.
That's what I was going to say.
I love Elvis.
How much fun would that be?
God, wouldn't that be great? Every time I listen to his music, and I think, God, what talent.
There's Lauren. I guessed right.
What?
For who you wanted. I think the person you didn't name. Man.
People that know me well know who that is, but I'm not going to talk.
Well, it's funny when Leslie and I went to Graceland in July of this past year, which was awesome. I
was jealous.
That was so cool. I told her, there's no doubt he and I would have been boys because he was ahead of his game with technology.
And he wrote all these songs.
Well, not that, but I liked the house. I mean, his dining room, he had a TV so he could watch TV. he had a man cave with 3 tugs. Back then, you only had 3 channels.
And you had to get up and turn them.
But I don't think he got up. Well, he had remote controls. They did
Oh,
have
he did?
well,
Really?
Yeah, he had the first microwave in Memphis. First ever
We had
microwave.
our first microwave in 78.
Okay, but the first ever microwave in Memphis was in Elvis. It's still there. Still there. But that was really cool. Yeah, you like Graceland. All right, so last one I ask everybody. Best advice you've ever received and by who?
Best advice from my sweet husband. He said, just do your best, tell the truth, and results that matters. And sometimes I would be in a position and he'd say, Ida, just tell them the truth and results. Because I'd get frustrated when I started in real estate. He said, all that matters on it is results. Just keep doing what you're doing. If you haven't noticed, the person I admire more than anyone is Bob, my husband. Most ethical, honest, sweet person you could ever meet. And I think that's the best advice.
He loves the telephone.
He doesn't like the telephone. But no, that would be the best advice I've ever gotten.
Very cool. This has been fun.
Yeah.
We'll do it again.
Great.
Maybe in 6 months. We'll do a mid-year review. I think it was great having you come on and us talking the market. And, I think there's a lot of questions out there, but I think I've come into just saying it's the market. Yeah. It's the rate. It's the market. Markets change. Markets go up. Markets go down.
But you always need to buy and sell a home.
So I think it's just a matter of, having the best knowledge there for our clients. We're always here to help people. I was telling Amy before, Amy just joined our team not too long ago. And, we're in a position where we're able to give knowledge for free because people look at what we do sometimes as maybe like a commodity. But it's not what we do. We want to provide 5-star service. We want raving fans. And we want to make the buying and selling experience the absolute best that you're going to ever experience with doing it. That's how we have the referrals we do, the support we do or have. But just understanding that, there's no better time.
I have people that say to me, don't you ever get tired of doing what you do?
Oh, Dad, I love you.
Oh,
that's nice.
I never get tired of what I'm doing, except when I'm frustrated that I'm not busier than I want to be. But
that's just how you're wired.
But I'm wired where I love what I do, and I love being in real estate. I love being able to help people and really see them happy and know that everything I thought that was going to work that or even better. Yeah. That gives me more joy.
Well, you sometimes, I think we sometimes, I don't want to say take for granted, but I just think because it's what we do and the amount of people we've helped. I mean, you've helped
10,000 people.
I mean,
over 30.
I don't know how many
years.
I've helped, or I hate saying we've helped, but to make that phone call of telling someone they just got their first home, to go to a seller that's in a pretty stressful situation, find regardless to see the face of us helping them get to that next chapter of their life. I think that's why we do what we do. It's not for everybody. You've got to be wired a certain way. You got to wake up every day unemployed.
And that keeps you going.
But I also think that it's really cool. It's really cool.
I also want to say that when I go in to I do my own listings. Michael does his. And people will say to me, you still go to listings? I truly love meeting sellers, but I like getting the house ready. But also that's the way I know what's going on in the market is because I do my own listings. And I want more. But helping people, and I'm using this as an example, in December, a past seller of mine called and said, you won't remember me, but you sold a little house for me, and it was off of 401, and it was in 1999. I said, give me a little bit more information. She says, well, it's 401. I said, was it High Meadows? She said, how in the world did you remember that? I said, I remember it. I said, I can't remember. Was it 77 or 79,000? She was on the phone and started laughing and said, it was 79,000. And she said, I was embarrassed because I didn't think you'd want to come out to my little house. I said, absolutely. Well, she bought a house right across from YMCA. She may be listening now, but she had a friend that needed to sell her condo. And I walked in there, and this woman needed help. She was falling down her stairs every day. And Amy was able to find her a place to stay. We had the perfect buyer, cash. She was able to move out and do everything in 2 weeks. And when I saw her, she cried and said, she had not left her condo in 3 years. I got everything sold because I have people that sell for estates. I got everything decluttered. It just brought me joy. And it was just a little condo. So it's not the dollar amount that matters to me.
People.
It's helping and seeing that love in that woman's eyes. I think she's excited now. I told her she needs to get out and do things.
Well, we've just passed 45 minutes.
All right.
So we've had, we could talk for a long time.
Well, Michael and I have something in common. We love people.
Yep, and we love to talk.
We love to talk, and he's my inspiration. He keeps me going on the social media, and he'll say, Mom, you need to be doing this. So you keep me up. I'm like the encyclopedia. He'll come to me and ask me, what do you think about this? It's because I've done it so long.
We work well together.
We work tremendous together.
Well, fantastic, guys. If you like the podcast, this one's a little longer than normal, but we thought this was important to bring to you guys and come, like I said, mid-year. We like to at least every maybe quarter, half year, we like to have updates. So if there's any way we can help you, let us know. Please message me directly. If you like the podcast, please subscribe. Please leave a comment. It'd be greatly appreciated. And if you're looking to buy or sell in the Triangle, Raleigh-Durham area, we'd be honored to help you.
We would be honored. We love your referrals.
Yeah. And again, it's Michael Terbet with Ida Terbet with the Super Terb Podcast, your local real estate expert with the Ida Terbet Group, Coldbanger HPW. Remember, who you work with matters, and we will see you next time.
You got it.